every family experiences loss, if not a question of if, but when. So today, ways to love your kids through grief and loss. Family researcher and BYU instructor Heather Johnson joins me today. Why now? Why are we opening up this conversation now? It might seem kind of out of the blue to some.
Sure, a little out of the blue. These are things that are important every single day. Even if someone in your family or someone close to you has been sick, when we lose someone we care about, it is always unexpected. Even if we think we know it's coming, it's always unexpected. And so these are skills that we need to have as parents so that we can help our children regardless of the situation, whenever it might occur. And this isn't just, close family relationships. Oftentimes our kids will lose a friend at school, and there might be an incident there where they come home and you're helping them deal with grief and through things in that aspect also. So shying away from it or thinking this isn't going to ever affect us is kind of naive as parents to think, because it isn't about, if it will happen. Eventually our children will deal with loss somehow. And so if we can help them develop those skills when they're young, it also turns them into adults who've had experiences. So when they deal with loss as an adult, they know how to handle it then too. So it's really important.
So is it something that we as parents should worry about when loss happens? I mean, I guess if we're filling our toolbox full of things to do and say, then it maybe won't be as big of a worry.
Absolutely. And so when we do have those tools that we need, it's not something we need to stress about. It's simply a position we need to mentally put ourselves in so that we know what we need to do when our children are faced with something like this. And really, the first step we take in this is we use the word grief a lot. We don't actually understand what grief means.
Yeah, and what does it mean?
Here's why. We're so quick to tell our children or to tell even adults, when you get over this, when you move through this, eventually you'll get over that they passed away or that someone has died. Grief is actually a remembering emotion, which is the first mistake we make. Grief is there so that we remember. And so it's really important, first and foremost, to help our children realize you don't actually have to forget about someone, get over someone, move through anything. In fact, experience grief and remember them. If we can make that change in our own minds, first and foremost, it'll actually make it really easy for us to help our children through things like this. Because instead of trying to get them to stop doing something, we're actually encouraging them to grieve, which is remember. Let's remember someone we loved. And that's a big step. That helps a lot.
And when we do lose someone, the person is gone, I mean, in a sense. But if the grief is remembering them, then maybe that relationship lives on?
Absolutely. And so we need to redefine what that relationship looks like. We've got to redefine, yes, that person isn't here to be side by side or visit at Christmas or see us like that. But we need to decide what the relationship can continue to look like as we move forward. And this will look different for every child, for every family. Even as adults, we handle this differently. But it doesn't make much sense to say to our children, and remember, they're much smarter than we think they are. It doesn't make a lot of sense to say, you've loved this person for 7 years of your life, but don't remember them anymore.
Just forget them.
It's exactly right. They can't be a part of your life anymore. That doesn't process, and it shouldn't. So we want to say, let's remember, and let's figure out how to still have them be a part of your life, still continue that relationship. Let's just redefine what it looks like. Now, you can do this in a number of different ways. It will look different for every person. And you can ask your children, how can we keep grandma a part of our lives? Or what can we do with this situation? Or how can we still remember the friend that you had at school? I do have a favorite, though. One of my very favorite ways to learn how to redefine this relationship, I have clients and also family members write a letter to the person who's passed away. Now, a number of us have maybe heard that, but there's a flip side to it. They also have to write a response letter from the person who's died back to them. And it's pretty amazing to see how even in an activity like that, we pour out our soul, or maybe we write, today was a miserable day at school, right? I know our son has done this before, and it's like, I didn't like my math test, and I didn't do he's just very honest. And then he thinks through, well, what would my grandpa say in response to what I just wrote? And it's a beautiful way to remember how they spoke, what they thought, what their personality was like. And as you start to do this, you redefine that relationship, and they're very much a part of your life still, which is how it should be.
And another one of your tips is to answer their questions.
Right, and to answer all of them, even the hard ones. We've got to answer the hard ones. Our kids will come to us when someone passes away with difficult questions, not just where have they gone, but why do I feel this way and what do I do with it? It's important for us as parents to answer the questions even when they're difficult. We do need to take into consideration their age and their ability to understand, but we want to make sure we're being honest. We want to make sure, for example, you and I can use the word passed away because we clearly know what that means. But to a child, that might give them the impression that someone is coming back when they're not. And so being able to say this person has died is very straightforward, but it's respectful to be honest to our children so that we don't put them in a situation where they have expectations that won't be met, so that they can understand it. Our kids can handle this if we will be with them to help them understand how they need to handle it. And the first thing we've got to do then is answer those questions. We also need to give them lots of choices. We're very quick with our kids when we lose someone to try and protect them by keeping them away from the process. But children know where they feel comfortable, and we want to allow them choices in grieving. If they want to be a part of a funeral, it's okay. And if they want to see that person and give one last goodbye, like maybe you do, that would be okay. If they don't, that's okay too. And so we want to ask them, because when we have choices, we feel like we can buy into something. We feel like we're in control. And so at a time in their life as children when they feel like they've lost a lot of control because someone's been taken that they didn't want to go, it really empowers them to give them a choice back. And so we can see that in lots of ways. Even a young girl who maybe says, you know, Mommy, can I write something down that they say at the funeral? Or can I sing a song? Or can I, you know, be a part? Let them be a part and give them those choices.
We're going to move through your last tips quick here. Another thing, I know there's always a fine line between, okay, can we stop grieving and being really sad, and can we just have fun together?
It's exactly right. One of the best ways to grieve or remember is actually to have fun together. We know it's one of the best ways to begin that healing process where we're able to not move on, but remember, but grieve together. So don't shy away. Don't feel guilty about laughing, playing, and having fun just because someone's passed away.
And
have fun.
You also say preserve rituals and kind of keep life going.
Yes, and we've got to do that. We've got to preserve the rituals so that children don't resent the fact that someone's gone and now everything changes. So we want to keep things consistent. And that's not just holidays and birthdays, but that's also our everyday routines. If you have a child who's always played soccer, they need to still get to soccer practice so that things are stable and secure. And on top of that, for us personally, it's really important to remember our oxygen mask analysis, or kind of comparison. You know, when we travel on an airplane with kids and they say put your mask on first and then help your child. If your child is grieving and you are too, you've got to make sure you take care of yourself so that you can attend to your children the way they need you and put your mask on first.
Thanks, Heather.